Hello everybody, Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I did a video this morning about one of the sisters told me about a human trafficking murder over in Odessa that the police were involved in. But she mentioned her sister, and this was where her sister wrote me in this message right here on this print screen. And I sent this to the Midland Crimestoppers. I sent the other one to Odessa Crimestoppers, and you'll see where I got it highlighted. I was a former escort and went to almost every oil show in Midland, Odessa, from 2008, 2019. And then I went on, I was 16 to 17 at the time. They would prefer us younger girls other than elder women. I told her about the Angie telling me about them drugging the women there, and she confirmed and said, yes, it's true. And so I've got a little write-up here basically talking about that. And I said the sister of the woman that told me about the human trafficking murder in Odessa that the police were involved in also wrote me. She said I was a former escort and I went to almost every oil show in Midland, Odessa from 2008 2019. And then I want to explain that the Permian Basin International Oil Show is an industry convention, and the after-hour parties, which are put on by wealthy oil companies, are infamous for drinking, drugs, and prostitution. You compare that to Vegas. It's the convention capital of the world, and it's pretty much the same thing. I then told her about my friend, Angie Mungie Herrley, who told me about a young girl that didn't want to prostitute at a 2010 oil show party, and then she didn't wake up. Angie was leaving my home and at the parties in 5 minutes. So I believe they were going on in the underground homes here, and one of them is located in my backyard. This was confirmed by Tisha Brumley, who said her sister used to go to the oil show parties and confirmed they were held in the underground homes. A whole nother person confirming this. This woman on Facebook then tells me I was 16, 17 at the time of the 2010 oil show parties, and they would prefer us younger girls other than the elder women. I had already suspected that child sex trafficking was going on there after recording another woman who told me that pizza parties or pedophile parties were held in the underground homes. I replied and said, at 11 p.m. each night, Angie would put me on hold and go get her pill. That is how I knew they were drugging the women and girls there. And she replied and says, yes, it's true. And police were at those parties. I then told her that I had tried to get Angie to report this murder to the police, but she's afraid and said that high-level police were also at those parties. This lady here confirmed this, the sister, and said, yes, they're all corrupt. I even reported one of them for harassment, and nothing ever happened. I was always stalked by them. Interestingly, I found evidence which has convinced me that the previous owner of my home, Mike Lawhon, was killed here and taken to Fort Worth, and this happened the week before the 2008 oil show parties were going to start in the secret underground home in his backyard. I don't think that's a coincidence. After Mike died, I bought this home from his widow, Sarah Lawhon, as I was transferring in from out of town without any clue this home was rigged for crimes and murders. I lived here 2 years before I noticed that somebody had been inside my home. A year later, I was shot with my phone lines cut, and while I was in the hospital, my security cameras caught a large group of Midland police in my home staging the crime scene of this capital attempted murder. So one sister tells me about a human trafficking murder, and another sister tells me about child sex trafficking at the oil show parties, but nothing happens when I sent screenshots to Midland Crimestoppers and Odessa Crimestoppers. I've sent other Crimestopper tips about other crimes and murders. They were also ignored. My guess is their excuse for ignoring these is based on the name smearing done by the Midland police after I started reporting people in the attic, and it got worse after I was shot with my phone lines cut and found proof that police were under my home that night. I'm going to show you some of the evidence. All right, here, the first thing I want to show you here, and this is a Google map here. You put in my address, 3802 Fair Circle, and you look at the satellite screen, then look at the map screen, you see a large bunker in my backyard. I told the city of Midland about that, and then it was deleted from Google's maps. But I have the print screens and the proof. And then I have a print screen of Tisha Ann Wilkinson Brumley telling me, I've had friends been involved in those oil show parties. They're exactly what you say. They are underground homes. That confirmed what I believe, because Angie was leaving my home and at the oil show parties in 5 minutes. Okay. Now I'm going to show you here. Here I am on Fair Circle right here in this cul-de-sac, and I'm shot right here, okay, right behind my house, Home Depot store. If you zoom in, you can see where the ditch was cut coming to my house. I believe the people going to the oil show parties, and one of the underground homes is in my backyard. this big parking lot, and I believe just Angie drove around here, parked here, went underground here, along with all the other people at the old show parties, and then this tunnel come over to the underground home, and that's where they're having the parties. And that she's the one that told me about that young girl that didn't want to prostitute, and then they killed her, and police were there. That's the whole problem. And then we got Mike Lawhon here. He dies the week before the 2008 old shows parties start, okay, in 2008, okay? And I'll just show you this picture here. And I was transferring town, bought the house from his widow. She actually dropped the price like $35,000 and offered it to me after he died. And then the ex-wife told me, you were chosen to buy this home. But anyway, later a friend of his said that Mike was always talking about people breaking into his house. So I believe he was reporting the same crimes that I was reporting, and they killed him and took him to his mom's house in Fort Worth. And then here, I lived here 2 years, and then they tried to kill me, But interestingly, here's the 2008 Permian Basin International Show schedule, and it started on October 20th. Mike died on October 12th. I just don't think that's a coincidence, I mean, I think they killed him because of the party. I don't know if he knew about them or didn't or whatever. The other thing I was saying is that the Midland police has smeared my name, and that's why when I send Crimestoppers, oh, yeah, he's crazy, so we can ignore this. Now we can keep killing people and pimping out them little kids and letting them go home. So ain't that funny? We just ruin this innocent man's name. And so here's on November 2010, my first call for a burglary, and it was A. Corson right here, the police officer dispatch, and then Stephen Truex, and he says, complainant possible 1096. So that was Corson that called me possibly crazy, and I just reported a burglar. I noticed somebody had been in my house. They already set me up, trying to call me crazy. And then 2 months later, on January 8, 2011, my second call for a burglary. That time I heard somebody in my attic. Once again, Corson was here. Michael Chandler, the husband of April Chandler, and Bradley Alexander. And once again, Corson writes on here, complainant 1096, okay? And then they promoted Corson to be the sergeant over internal affairs. So if you report police corruption, you're going to report it to him. And I believe he's a dirty cop. I believe he was intentionally false, labeling me as crazy to cover up these crimes. That's what I believe. But then I'm shot, okay, with my phone lines cut. If somebody in my home, burglar alarm's going to the attic. And it wasn't, 48 hours after I'm shot, this officer right here, 13012, April Chandler, creates this record and calls me a paranoid schizophrenic. Okay, I hadn't been diagnosed with that disease. I don't have that disease. I was a crime victim. I'm home minding my own business. These killers broke in my home, cut my phone lines, and shot me. And she smeared my name. That's a permanent record. So now any police officer I send in the Crimestoppers tip to Odessa, oh, let's go look up Buddy Webb. Oh, he's a paranoid schizophrenic. That's a lie made up by April Chandler. Okay, Rosie Rodriguez, this is the detective, she personally called the hospital, tried to have me committed by herself. She ain't even a doctor, She's doing everything she can to smear my name. But here at the hospital, I was cleared by my mental health due to the lies these cops were spreading about me. And that's what's so absurd about it. My name has been drugged through the mud, smeared worldwide, and I was cleared by the doctors. I mean, I don't have these diseases. I'm a crime victim, And then the last thing is the secret police that were caught in my house covering up the murder attempt. The first two showed up, Woodward and Naylor, 19 minutes after I'm shot without being dispatched. It took 6 years to get all these identified with the $2,000 award. Rosie Rodriguez, April Chandler, Tony Dickey, Greg Chadwell, Greg Nelson, Marty Barrett, a CSI, no less. Chad Simpson, he's dead. Mike Naylor, he's dead. Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick, John Woodward, and he's a sheriff from a whole nother county. And that's what, so I suspect these are the same guys, or part of them, that were at the oil show parties and with the forced prostitution, murder, the child sex trafficking, and the Odessa stuff. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.